So where did you learn to practice loading and discharging and cleaning and storing the firearm?
I didn't learn that anywhere.
Okay. So why would you think you could protect yourself with a gun you didn't even know how to handle?
It's easy to pull the trigger if I was in harm. It's not that hard to pull the trigger.
Well, guns have recoil. Every gun fires differently.
Yes, ma'am, they do.
So you had it for close to 2 years. Did you ever clean it?
No, ma'am.
Where'd you store it?
I kept it outside.
Oh, wow. That can do a lot of damage to a gun. So
I'm actually laughing that the faces he makes when she's talking about, well, what would you do if you don't have training? They're somewhat priceless. We're about to watch the parole hearing of a man who's not a Connecticut man. He was just coming through when he was picked up with possession of a firearm and sentenced to 30 months in jail. Will they release him early? I'll unpack it at the end.
Good morning. My name is Parole Officer Dunkley. Today is Monday, July 8th, 2024, and this is a hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning and by stating their names on the record, certify they have reviewed all statutorily required documents and available pertinent information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, I'm panel member Page.
Jefferson Palmieri, Nancy Turner.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Antonio Allen, 430284, ma'am.
He is serving a sentence of 30 months jail flat for criminal possession of a weapon. As of today, record reflects a parole eligibility date of May 4th, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed the SRG program and voices. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the high range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Allen, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
How y'all doing, ma'am? I feel like, first of all, I would like to say good morning and God bless you and your families. And one reason why I feel like I should be granted parole because I know I committed a crime and I know I did wrong. At the time, I was going through a lot of things in my family and I was afraid of my life. That's why I was carrying a gun. But now that I've been incarcerated, I feel like I've become a better person. You know what I mean? I've learned how to control my anger. And I know that what I was doing was wrong at the time, but I will not be carrying a gun again when I get out. And I also have a job set up for me when I get out. I have a great support system. And, I just know that being in here, I've changed around so much that, I was able to control my anger and I haven't been in any fights. I have no DRs. Mainly that, like I said, I was just going through a lot of stuff in my life in that time. And I feel like I've become a much better person since I've been in here. So I'm able to control my anger and I won't be having necessarily have a gun no more when I'm out.
All right, thank you, Mr. Allen, for that statement, sir. We're going to ask you some questions, and when we're done with our questions, we'll deliberate and give you our decision, okay? Best of luck to you, sir. Ms. Turner, we'll start with the questions.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, ma'am.
So I read that you came to Connecticut in 2019. What brought you to Connecticut?
I was just really coming up here for a vacation. Like I was just trying to try something different, living in Florida, and I came up here, and once I got up here, I liked it how it was up here, so I decided to stay. I really only came up here for a 2-week stay because I never really been nowhere, so I wanted to travel, so I came and I liked the place, so I started staying.
Well, you've been to Virginia and South Carolina. You have convictions in both states, right?
Virginia and South Carolina?
In New York, you got a New York drug possession.
Yeah, I don't know about Virginia. I don't remember doing anything in Virginia.
Okay, well, we
Yes, it says that it's a failure to appear in VA. You must have gotten pulled somewhere.
You had a motor vehicle issue and you didn't show up to court to deal with it? Okay, so we can,
Yeah, I know what happened. I got pulled over on my way coming up here. That's probably what that is, because that's the only thing I can think of.
so you, you don't have much work history and you're 38. So, you mentioned you have a job all set. What's the job you're gonna go out to?
I was working at the ShopRite in Stratford, Connecticut for like 9 months before I came to jail.
7 months. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And I was guaranteed that if I was to come back to the state that I can get my job back. So I have that lined up.
So you've talked to somebody at ShopRite?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have anything in writing for us?
No, I don't have it in writing. I was told this before, because I had got sentenced, and I was told I knew I was coming to jail because I got sentenced from the street. So my manager that was there, Mr. Ivan, was told that once I come back, I could get my job back if I was to come back to the state of Connecticut.
Okay. So you you committed this crime in 2022, January. You had been working for ShopRite in 2021, and then you started this sentence on March 3rd of 2023. Do I have that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what were you doing from 2021 when you stopped working at ShopRite to 2023 when you came into prison?
I didn't stop working. I was working at ShopRite until like a week before I turned myself in.
Okay. So you also, our records show much different. So you also have a gun conviction in Florida.
Yes, ma'am.
2009. So being in Connecticut since 2019, when did you get the gun?
I don't really remember when I got the gun, but I would say probably like 2020 or 2020, in the beginning of 2021. I had just lost a close friend of mine. He had got killed, and we was together every day. So after he had got murdered, I decided that maybe it was time for me to get a gun because we was like best friends and we was always together. That's why I was saying I was going through a rough patch in my life at the time. Like that was my best friend since being up here and from Florida. And
Where'd you
when he
get the
got
gun?
off the street, man.
So where did you learn to practice loading and discharging and cleaning and storing the firearm?
I didn't learn that anywhere.
Okay. So why would you think you could protect yourself with a gun you didn't even know how to handle?
It's easy to pull the trigger if I was in harm. It's not that hard to pull the trigger.
Well, guns have recoil. Every gun fires differently.
Yes, ma'am,
and
they do.
So you had it for close to 2 years. Did you ever clean it?
No, ma'am.
Where'd you store it?
I kept it outside.
Oh, wow. That can do a lot of damage to a gun. So I guess what I should explain to you, Mr. Allen, is that we're trying to make a decision about whether it's appropriate for you to finish the 2.5 years you have to serve out in the community. And we have to make that decision in light of the interests of public safety. And you present to us as someone with a significant criminal history who was prohibited from possessing firearms and ammunition, willing to acquire a gun that you didn't know how to use, thinking you were going to protect yourself, when in fact you were doing nothing but endangering the safety of everybody around you out in the community. Any thoughts about that?
No, ma'am.
So part of what you said was that, you were stopped in a motor vehicle as a passenger in a high drug area. And that was part of why you had the gun, for your safety, because you were in Bridgeport. Do you remember that? And do I have that correct?
That's not what I said. I said I was going through a rough patch in my life. My
No,
friend
not
had just,
today. I'm saying in the documents when you were stopped by police and you were interviewed and you were found in possession of a firearm.
I told the police that. I don't tell the police anything. I didn't even give them a statement. I just got arrested and I went to jail.
What were you doing in a high drug area of Bridgeport? What were you doing in the car?
I was living in that area at that time. And I was in the car I was in that car chilling. Like, I was in that area because I used to work at that corner store right there, and I was just in the area because I lived there.
Mm-hmm. Were you living on your own or were you with family?
No, I was living with another acquaintance. Somebody who I met while I was up here.
So you don't have a sponsor, you're gonna need a halfway house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and your first choice is Bridgeport.
That's because I had, like I said, I had a job there lined up, and that's where I know the job is at. But I can go
Yeah, but
anywhere.
there's ShopRites all over the state.
I
Yeah,
understand.
and just trying to understand your decision making and what your plan is, because if Bridgeport feels so unsafe that you have to carry a firearm that you don't know how to use, and you want to go back to Bridgeport, it makes me wonder, why?
I understand. I could go to any other place. I also put New Haven. I just put Bridgeport because it was closer to the job at the time. And so if I knew I was going to go to the halfway house, I knew I have an easy access to make it to the job. But I can go anywhere. That was just the job that I knew I had lined up, so I wouldn't have to go search for a job.
So tell me about your great support system. What do you have here? Who do you have here in Connecticut in your corner?
Oh, I have a woman who I met that I was living with after I caught my case. I've been with this woman for like 4 or 5 years, and she has a child, and she's been helping me since I've been here, talking to me, telling me, how to be a better person. And my son is also 5 years old. He'll be 6 next month. So, like, I really have them to look forward to, and I really have him to show him something different than what I went through, because I already been through this criminal life, so I can show him something different. So that's the support system I have now.
Okay. I guess I'm just a little confused because I understood from your interview with the parole officer you didn't have any children.
He's my stepson, and I told her that too.
Okay. But you're not still with his mother?
Am I still with his mother?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm with his mother currently right now.
That's the woman with the 4 to 5 year old that you've been with 4 to 5 years.
Yes,
and now you have a child.
She has a son. And he's my stepson. I've been in his life since he was 1 year old, and he's about to be 6.
Who else is in Connecticut in your corner?
That's about it.
So you renounced the Bloods in February of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you learn from the SRG program, sir?
I learned that the gangs is not where it is anymore. Like, I was young when I did that, and that it was a cool thing at the time. When we're younger, now we're older, it doesn't amount to nothing, because when you're in jail, there's nobody there for you. They're only there when you're doing the negative stuff and the bad stuff, committing crimes. But when you really need them, there's no family there. It took me a long time to learn that. I wish I would have learned it when I was younger, but everybody learns stuff a little different like lately.
Did you join in Florida?
Yes, ma'am.
We had a number of incarcerations in Florida. They weren't there for you then, were they?
Oh, ma'am.
How many phases of the SRG program did you complete?
All 5.
What did you learn from the Voices program?
The Voices program was really good. That's one thing I can say. It really opened my eyes to because I never really thought about your family and stuff being victims to your crimes. You know what I mean? I always felt like once you come to jail, you come if you don't have a real victim, like a robbery or something, that you don't have a victim. Now that going to the Voices program, I understand that the people that depend on you and love you out there are more victims than them, because being I said, my stepson, I've been in his life since he was 1, and he see me all the time, going to the park, doing all that stuff. And now that I'm not there, when I call home, he's asking, when am I coming home? And, when are we going to go to the park and play again and stuff like that. So now he's missing me, and family members that look up to you. And now that you're in jail, they see that what you're doing, they think it's cool. So Voices taught me to make sure that I think before I make any actions, and to always just, know that you can have a victim in any case, no matter what it is. There's always a ripple effect of what you do. So your crime affects the community and everybody else around you.
You started that off, and I'm glad that you had that takeaway, because your family does really do the sentence with you.
Yes, ma'am.
But you do appreciate someone who's, when you commit a robbery, you're actually victimizing somebody who's right in front of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because you started off that with saying if you had, did a robbery, there wasn't a victim.
No, I'm saying if you do a robbery, the victim is the person that you're robbing. And now I didn't think about my family being victims of me committing crimes. I always looked at it like you only have a victim.
Do you think about the fact that the person that you commit the robbery against, their family members are also victimized?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it hadn't come up in the conversation. So, it's not just the one person that you might target, but everybody in their lives is affected by the harm done to this person and their effort to recover from that harm.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it hits the evening news, and it, creates trauma in the community because everybody feels unsafe. And then it leads to people like you choosing to possess a firearm, thinking they can keep themselves safe with it out in the community, not even just protecting your home from an invasion, but, carrying it around on you and having it on you, thinking that could somehow keep you safe. It's a certain brand of insanity, isn't it?
Yes, it is, ma'am. It creates a lot of trauma.
Mm. Well, it's good to see that you haven't had any disciplinary issues while you've been incarcerated. It's always concerning to us when, we meet someone in your circumstances, serving for a gun crime, without any supervision to follow. Because obviously, there's some risk to public safety involved with the offense for which you're serving your sentence. So you had an extensive use of marijuana on a daily basis, and I understand that you're going to pursue a medical marijuana card because it helps you stay calm and relaxed.
Yes, ma'am.
How have you been staying calm and relaxed in the prison without marijuana?
Because we know we can't have drugs here. That's another crime. You know what I mean? So
Well, we know that drugs are there, they're available, and we meet people all the time who have intox and contraband tickets because they make those choices while they're serving their sentences. But it, it's got to be a fairly stressful environment, a lot of activity and a lot of personalities to deal with. So I'm wondering, how do you go from 5 to 10 blunts a day to help you stay calm and relaxed to being in prison without any drugs? How are you coping?
I find other activities to do, like work out, play basketball, read books, you know what I mean? So I could do the same thing in the world. It's just, if I could have access to it, then I would use it.
But why do you think you have trouble feeling calm and relaxed in life?
Because you deal with a lot more things when you're in the world than you do in here. You deal with the same people in here every day in your unit. You know what I mean? All the same officers, so you can mainly stay on your bunk and stay away from the activities that are going on if it's not something that you get into. You know what I mean? But in the world, you're dealing with so much different stuff. You know what I mean? You're dealing with losses of family members. You're dealing with much more people and activities of stuff going on. So, like I said, I can go without it in the world too. But like I said, if it's legal and I can get a card to use it, then I would. But if I don't have to,
as opposed to seeking out maybe a therapist to figure out, how to regulate your own emotions so that you can stay calm and that you can deal with stress.
I would try that too. I could try both, and whichever one works best.
Well, it just seems like the marijuana is a crutch for you not dealing with what's behind your inability to calm yourself and find a place of relaxation in life. It's artificial. And especially if you're going to spend so much time around a young child, they shouldn't be exposed to the stink of the marijuana because that's what you're using 5 to 10 times a day. You teach them other healthier coping mechanisms. Just a thought. All right, Madam Chair, I have no more questions. Thanks for talking with me, Mr. Allen.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Ms. Palmieri?
Ms. Turner covered everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Give us a few minutes, Mr. Allen, to talk about your case and we'll give you our decision, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Turner, your thoughts? You may listen. Please don't interrupt, okay?
So we have somebody who's facing 5 years on the deadly weapon offender registry for his choice to be in the illegal possession of a loaded firearm. He scores high for his risk to reoffend. He has an extensive criminal history, 17 years in Florida and offenses in at least 3 other states. So all of that paints a very concerning picture. It does sound like Mr. Allen is maturing. He's maintaining his behavior there in the facility. He's participating in some positive programs. That would have liked to have seen him take a program through addiction services with a drug score of 3. I have some concerns about his release plan. And his decision-making overall is concerning. So, I came in with a denial. I wish there had been a stronger presentation. So I'm interested in what my colleagues heard from the conversation, because perhaps you can offer me some perspective. As we always say, the flat sentence part of it is very concerning. And this would amount to just under a year of discretionary parole supervision.
Thank you. Ms. Turner. Ms. Palmieri?
So I appreciate all that Mr. Allen had to say for us today. I am most concerned with his criminal history. It's a lot of repeat offenses. He's been in and out of jail a number of times. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's probably had, a good amount of programming while he's been in and out those other times. I'm happy that he completed the SRG program. But I do not have Mr. Allen granted parole today. He does score high. I appreciate that he got so much out of the Voices program and the SRG program. But, he is in Connecticut a very short amount of time, arrested with a gun, and the co-defendant had a good amount of drugs on as well. So I'm denied.
Thank you. So I came in with a grant for Mr. Allen. Many of the things that you pointed out, Ms. Turner, were most of my concerns. But what made me vote in his favor was that, I mean, he's saying he has a lot of support in the community when in fact his girlfriend's in another state.
Mhm.
And he wants to go and live with her dad, and he's not in a position to act as a sponsor. I don't like the friends that he's making, and I don't like the nature of his crimes. But the fact that he has no support in the community, he's serving a flat sentence, and he's a multi-state offender, I thought in light of public safety, the supervision that parole would provide would at least be able to monitor him for a short period of time prior to his just walking out of the prison doors with nothing. And his criminal history, again, is very concerning. The nature of his crimes are concerning as well. But I just thought that this would be a case where the supervision would be fitting, especially given his history. So I absolutely understand why the denial, because he's concerned. So, Ms. Turner,
Neither of you help me.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm listening very carefully, and I'm struggling here a bit.
I mean, it sounds like he wants to stay here. He does have these warrants outstanding, and whether he knows it or not, he's going to have to deal with them at some point, but they're non-extraditable. He has a job he thinks that he can return to. Whether we like it or not, marijuana is legal. I'm not sure that he'll be permitted to.
Well, not smoking.
Right.
No.
I mean, it just really further clouds the judgment. I mean, leave the marijuana alone. It makes you hallucinate, think you need guns for protection.
I wish there was some more detail under the employment as to, the dates for the shop rate time and why he.
I thought I read that again. No, I don't know.
Okay, so
Did it say he's got into an argument with somebody? I don't remember if that was. I always get these cases mixed up.
yeah, he supposedly worked for them until the time of his arrest, but he was only with them for 7 months. So I'll vote to grant him the supervision of almost a year on discretionary parole. And then when he's done, if he wants to go to North Carolina or back to Florida, but he'll be on the registry while he's here in Connecticut. And I'm going to suggest a mental health evaluation and treatment to, push him towards, dealing more constructively with his inability to calm and relax. So halfway house and co-defendant.
Okay. Do you have anything else, Ms. Miller?
Yeah.
And are you going on the minority?
I am.
Okay. So with regard to Antonio Allen, 430284, I move that he be granted parole on or after today's date with the following conditions in addition to the standard parole conditions. You have no contact with Rebecca Fox, who's listed as your co-defendant. You participate in a mental health evaluation or receive treatment as deemed necessary. And we're putting a halfway house as a condition because your sponsor declined. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
So, Mr. Allen, this is a majority decision. We're not voting you to parole, sir, because we think that you've earned parole. We just think that in light of public safety, you're having the additional support to go out and transition back into the community and be a law-abiding citizen is that much higher when you have someone that's helping you, kind of guiding you. So we do wish you the best of luck, and we thank you for speaking with us, sir. Good luck.
Thank you so much, man. Y'all enjoy your day.
This concludes the hearing for Antonio Allen, inmate number 430284.
This hearing would be funny if it wasn't scary. Okay, so he was sentenced to just 30 months. So what are they supposed to do? You could just keep him locked up for as long as possible and maybe send a message. Or they thought, well, they go back on the, he needs supervision. He's going to get out there. We should give him supervision. And I don't really understand the logic because, so if he's not on supervision, then he gets, so you're just trying to help him get into good habits. I don't know. I don't really get it, but it was kind of just like a funny hearing in the sense that he's just, yeah, I used to be a Bloods member. I left it five months ago. I'm gonna smoke 5-10 blunts a day. I'm gonna, my goal is that I want to be a role model for my 6-year-old stepson. It's, he has a high SRT, which is not common. He has convictions. Thank you, Richard, for laying this out in Virginia, South Carolina, New York, Florida, and now Connecticut. So he's got 5 states going for him. And it's really quite funny how, was it Paige who does this? It's the same parole board member that does this all the time. She has like this obsession with when someone has a firearms charge, she always goes in, have you had training for it? And they're like, no. And then she goes, well, then how do you know how to use it? How can you be safe using it? How can you be that you're carrying a gun and you don't have training? And she always goes down to that message. And to me, it does this weird thing to my brain where I'm trying to like understand what she's saying. And I think it's the same. They're like, what? It's like, how is that the point? He's a convicted multiple felon with the firearm, with, which is probably an illegal weapon with the VIN scratched off and all of the, and he's there's nothing good coming out of it. It's not like, and the question's always, well, do you have training? When did you clean it? Where did you store it? And again, it does this thing to my brain where I'm like trying to process the direction that she's taking it. And as a Second Amendment person, I mean, she has all those really good points. Those are great, valid points. Everyone should have the training. You should clean it. You should know how to do all that stuff. But he's like, well, it's not that difficult. I just pull the trigger. And you're like, well, I've seen her bring up in conversations, how are you going to hit your target? She'll say that. How are you going to hit your target if you don't have training? You're going to hit random people are going to get hurt. And again, I'm like, but is, I don't know. Is it just me? But I'm just blown away by that approach. And I wonder, with her kind of proficiency in it, I wonder if she is a Second Amendment person herself. I wonder if she carries. I wonder if she goes to the gun club. It makes me believe that. But to me, it just seemed. I'm trying to think of an analogy for it. You know what it would be like? It would be like, I think, if someone's locked up for drag racing, and then the parole board member would say, "Well, have you had training for drag racing?" And they'd be like, No. Have you ever had training in NASCAR? No. It's like, well, then how can you do drag racing? And the reason it's like, no, you can't be drag racing in public. It's dangerous. You can't carry a gun as a convicted felon, and you're in the streets selling drugs, and you have it's just okay. I went on my tangent long enough. I don't have any additional information, but they paroled him because of the whole idea that he needs to have some type of supervision while he's out, and he's it's just I don't know. It is what it is. He was locked up March 3rd, 2023. So it was a year and 4 months at the time of the hearing, and he's getting paroled. He's getting paroled. His full term date was 8/5/2025. So my math's not good, but it's like a year or something early. Anyways, I'm wishing him the best. I hope that he does well. Maybe it is time that it'll change, but man, I don't get it. Sometimes I think you gotta just send a message, because the logic of it being safer for him to be under supervision, it just makes no sense to me. And thank you, Richard, for all the info. With that, I'll let you go.